I cheated on my boyfriend of 5 years and now I'm drowning in guilt. I have been in a relationship with my boyfriend for 5 years, and although we had our ups and downs, things were generally good between us. But over the past few months, a strange distance grew between us as he was constantly buried in his work and we barely spent any quality time together. During this lonely period, I met someone else through a mutual friend, a guy named Alex. Alex and I clicked instantly, and before I knew it, I was drawn to him in a way I hadn't felt in years. Our casual hangouts quickly spiraled into something much deeper. Until one night, the worst possible scenario happened. My boyfriend unexpectedly came home early from work and walked right in on Alex and me in a highly compromising situation. The look of pure shock and devastation in his eyes completely shattered me, and seeing his trust vanish in an instant made me feel like the worst person alive. The next day, I confessed everything, apologized profusely, and begged for his forgiveness, promising to never see Alex again. He eventually agreed to try and move past it, but the relationship was never the same, and an unbearable wall of silence and guilt grew between us. Now, I am completely torn because while I'm drowning in regret for hurting my boyfriend, I also cannot deny the intense connection I feel toward Alex. I know I made a massive mistake that complicated everyone's lives, but I honestly do not know where to go from here. So, am I the bad person for breaking my boyfriend's trust when our relationship was failing? Or is it time to admit that the connection is gone? Tell me what you think in the comments below. My best friend's secret relationship ruined everything. My friend of 8 years had a dark secret she kept from me, a secret so intense that when it finally unraveled, it completely destroyed our friendship. For nearly a decade, she claimed she had absolutely zero interest in dating, no crushes, no relationships, absolutely nothing. But the moment I turned my back and left the state for work, she broke the ultimate rule of friendship. And what she demanded I do months later made me realize I never truly knew her at all. If you think you can trust your closest friend, wait until you hear what she texted me on New Year's Eve. Let's call my long-term best friend Camilla and my other close friend Cassie. Before I relocated temporarily for my job, I did what any good friend would do. I introduced them, hoping they'd hit it off and hang out while I was away. Well, they hit it off, alright. When I finally returned home, I uncovered a massive bombshell. Camilla and Cassie had secretly started dating behind my back, but it didn't last. Cassie quickly realized there was no real spark and ended it, wanting to be honest rather than leading Camilla on. Camilla, however, was completely devastated. But what hurt me the most wasn't the dating, it was the fact that they both actively chose to hide it from me, claiming it would muddle the friendship. I tried to be the peacemaker. I went to comfort Camilla, but instead of looking for support, she immediately crossed a line. I was hosting a party, and Camilla demanded that I uninvite Cassie's new girlfriend. I refused to choose sides or drama, so I called the whole party off and decided to just see them separately. I thought that would blow over, but I was wrong. Fast forward a few months, things seemed back to normal until I went out for coffee with Camilla. Out of nowhere, she got incredibly hostile, asking if I was still hanging out with Cassie. I didn't hide it, I am friends with both. But then, Camilla looked me dead in the eye and asked me to do something deeply unsettling. She wanted me to act as a spy. She asked me to report back to her the exact second Cassie and her new girlfriend broke up. She was literally harboring revenge fantasies, waiting for Cassie's happiness to fail. On top of that, she demanded that whenever I was hanging out with Cassie, I should lie to her face and use a secret code, like saying I was just busy. That was the breaking point. I snapped. I told her I wasn't going to lie for her, and I definitely wasn't going to feed her toxic obsession. We had a massive argument. She asked if we were even friends anymore. I told her we were, but I wouldn't compromise my integrity. We left in absolute silence. After that day, Camilla completely ghosted me. I reached out multiple times to clear the air, but got total radio silence for an entire year. But then, the weird mind game started. On Thanksgiving, she randomly texted Happy Thanksgiving. I replied, asking to catch up. No response. On Christmas, Merry Christmas. Again, I replied. Again, she ignored me. Finally, on New Year's Eve, she texted Happy New Year. This time, I was done. I didn't reply. I just deleted the entire conversation from my phone and ignored it. So, I need to know, was I wrong for finally ignoring her? Should I have replied to her holiday text, or was she just trying to keep a toxic foot in my door? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really need to know what you think. My dad was cheating on my mom with another woman. I am 38 years old now, and my parents divorced when I was only 6. All I knew at the time was that they were constantly arguing, creating an incredibly unpleasant environment until my mother, my 2 older siblings, and I finally moved into town, while my dad stayed on the farm. Within a couple of years, my dad married my stepmother. but being so young, I didn't put two and two together. It wasn't until I was 13, while my sister was struggling deeply with depression, that I learned the devastating truth behind the divorce my dad had been having an affair with the woman who is now my stepmother. Learning this made me absolutely furious, and I went through a long phase where I wanted nothing to do with him. Eventually, my dad agreed to see a counselor with me, which brought huge relief, and I willingly started spending time with him again. But even after all these years, I still go through phases of intense anger toward my dad and stepmother. Not just because he betrayed my mother in the most hurtful way possible, but because us three kids practically got kicked out of our own home because of his choices. To make matters worse, my dad was a well-known eye doctor in our small town, meaning everyone knew our family's messy personal business. My mother had given up everything for him, even converting her religion and facing backlash from her own family just to be with him, only for him to throw it all away after 14 years of marriage. This trauma deeply fractured our family, leaving my sister with severe trust issues, while I completely lost my faith in love altogether. Growing up, I wanted the traditional dream of marriage and kids, but realizing how easily vows could be broken changed me. Today, I have absolutely no desire for romance or marriage, and I am genuinely content being single, but I cannot shake the fact that my father's choices permanently altered the course of my life. So, I have to ask, am I wrong for still holding on to this resentment after all these decades, or is it normal that a parent's betrayal can permanently break your belief in relationships? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.